his clinical status, support the president's safe return home, where he'll be surrounded by world-class medical care 24/7.
Breaking news. President Trump is expected to return to the White House tonight. A medical expert joins us live with the newest details about the president's case. And it's Mom Minute Monday, the best ways to talk to our kids about the heated political season.
And the Browns made us sweat it out, but it is a victory Monday. But we're all concerned about Nick Chubb's knee. Jim Donovan's going to join us live, and he'll tell us how long Chubb could be out. Also, what will First Energy look like for this weekend's game? We've got our hands on the proposal that the Browns have submitted, and we'll let you know where they are in that process.
The IRS is now offering a special program which can reduce or even eliminate what you owe.
And we've all seen these commercials, but do they really help or hurt your financial situation? The answer and some pro tips. What's new starts now.
And now, live from WKYC Studios, this is What's New.
Oh, what a ride our Cleveland Browns gave us yesterday.
Yes. It was so fun.
I think my pulse is just now coming back to normal.
Come on.
I'm not kidding you.
Really?
It was one of the craziest fourth quarters I've ever seen, but the Browns held on yesterday to beat the Cowboys, giving us a huge victory Monday. We're going to talk all about it throughout the show. Hello again, Northeast Ohio. Thanks so much for choosing What's New with Betsy Kling. I'm Jay Crawford. Hey, Betsy.
Hi there, Jay. And yeah, we have a very busy day happening news-wise as well. We begin, of course, with breaking news, which you may have seen here on 3. Late this afternoon, President Trump tweeted that he will be leaving Walter Reed Medical Center tonight at 6:30, saying, quote, "Feeling really good. Don't be afraid of COVID. Don't let it dominate your life. We have developed under the Trump administration some really great drugs and knowledge."
This now is a live look outside the Walter Reed Medical Center. Supporters are lining up, waiting for the president to be released. Again, that's about 90 minutes from now. His doctors say he hasn't had a fever in 72 hours and his oxygen levels are normal. They also said he's responding well to the antiviral drug remdesivir.
Yesterday evening, the president received his 3rd dose of remdesivir. He tolerated that infusion without difficulty, and his kidney and liver function continued to be normal. Our plan is to give the 4th dose of remdesivir this evening before he goes back to the White House, and we've made arrangements to deliver the 5th and final dose of his treatment course at the White House tomorrow evening. He continues on dexamethasone, and again, the plan for today is to continue to be up and out of bed.
Dr. Kavita Patel is an NBC News medical contributor. She joins us now. Dr. Patel, it's always good to have you on the program. The president's medical team said he continues to improve, but adds he's not out of the woods yet. He'll continue treatments, as we heard there from the White House. It's difficult to assess any patient's condition, of course, without having all of the information and actually looking at the patient. But from what you know right now, how would you assess how the president is doing?
Yeah, Jay, it's a great question that you're asking, and it's a bit confusing. And I would say that just in my opinion, which is exactly that it's a bit too early to discharge this person, to this most important patient, home for a couple of reasons. Number one, we know that the president is still early in his COVID disease and that patients with COVID-19 can have a deep, steep decline anywhere around day 10, which we're still several days away from. And number two, the president has received 3 specific treatments, antibody cocktail, remdesivir, and dexamethasone, the steroid, which are commonly reserved for more critically ill patients. And you would not think of that as a situation where you could discharge the patient home. Now, keep in mind, not the average home that the president is going to. He has a residence in a complex that has an entirely well-staffed medical unit, but it is not a hospital, which is where he is at right now. And the question all of us are asking in the medical side is, why not keep him where he can be safely monitored and still conduct business as well as message to the public?
It's an interesting question for sure. And, I think throughout all of this, it's common knowledge the president is getting exceptional care that really is not available to the common man and woman around the United States. So we're talking about all of these various treatments that he's on now. You said it was typically reserved for more critical patients. How is all of this going to work out? Is this going to be something that maybe the medical field could use down the road to get an earlier jump on some patients?
Well, the good news is that, like all things in science, people are already one step ahead of us and thinking about this. So all the drugs we've talked about, there are trials either beginning or underway to look at giving these drugs earlier in a course of treatment. But in many cases, even when we've studied, for example, dexamethasone, the steroid, and tried to think about whether or not that should be used early in treatment, studies to date have shown that it is not effective to be used unless certain conditions or unless the patient has been sick with COVID-19 for a certain period of time. I think the key principle here in medicine to remember are two things: that it's an art at times, not a science, and so there's a lot we still don't know. But number two, maybe the most important, is the oath I took when I became a doctor to first do no harm. And I think that's critical to remember. With a president, it might be tempting to give as many treatments as possible, but you can do harm with some of those treatments as well.
Well, I'm sure there is going to be much more on this coming up tonight on Nightly News, most certainly, and we'll be following along, bringing it to everybody live. Thank you so much, Dr. Patel. Good to see you again.
All right, now on to your feet at 5, and what a crazy game from Dallas yesterday. The Browns hang on, but they made it way more interesting than it should have been. They beat the Cowboys 49-38 to improve to 3-1. That's the first time they've been 3-1 to start a season in 19 years, but it came at a price. Let's bring in the voice of the Browns, Jimmy Donovan. Jim, always good to have you on. So, Jimmy, we learned the results of Nick Chubb's MRI earlier today. It could have been a lot worse, but it's not what we would call great news either.
No, it isn't, Jay. But when he went down yesterday, and he went down very early in the game, and he was really doing what Nick Chubb does in his 6 carries before he went down. I mean, he was ripping up yardage, and it looked like he was on his way to really tearing apart that Dallas Cowboy defense. But when he went down, and we watched this now from not just Nick Chubb, but from a lot of players, when they take that helmet off pretty quickly, then you know, and there it came off pretty quickly, you know he's in a lot of pain. And this is going to be a problem. And it is a problem for the Browns because Chubb left the game. It's an MCL injury. The time period now is a bit foggy. There are reports coming out saying that he'll be lost for at least 6 weeks, which would take us well into the month of November. Yet the Browns head coach Kevin Stefanski said, hey, listen, I know Nick Chubb. He's going to work super hard to get himself healed and ready to go and jump back in the lineup, and he wouldn't commit to a time period when he talked to us today.
I think we got to see how it goes. With Nick Chubb, I hesitate to put a number of weeks on it. I don't know, but it'll be several weeks.
So the good news is no surgery. It's not an ACL tear. He will be back at some point in the season. And if this season continues to go the way it's going right now, which is very, very good for the Browns, you could get him at a critical point in the year when you're making a stretch run to be in the division title chase or for a wild card playoff spot. I would say this, Jay. The Browns getting hit at that position, the running back position, they can shoulder that right now. They are really deep at running back. Imagine being able to come back with Kareem Hunt now as your primary back. Most teams who have lost running backs, they have to go to the practice squad and bring somebody up. We go to a guy that won the rushing title at one point in his young NFL career.
Depth is so nice to have. Jimmy, quickly before I let you go, you talk about fortunes in the NFL and how they change on a dime. Less than a year ago, the Houston Texans were flying high, heading to the playoffs. The Cleveland Browns, of course, another disappointing season and another new head coach. 4 games into this season, the Texans today, just moments ago, fired their head coach after an 0-4 start, and the Browns are 3-1. It can change like that.
You really can, and I have to tell you, I mean, Bill O'Brien, of course, had really had success. He could get his teams to the playoffs with the Texans, but they never could seem to win. And, of course, last year they got knocked out in that wild game against Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City. And remember, he was doubling up, too, Jay. He was really the de facto general manager and head coach of the team, and a lot of times that doesn't work. As for our guy, he is doing a magnificent job. Kevin Stefanski, you can say whatever you want, and you really can't criticize him about anything. But I will say this. The Browns are as organized and as detailed-oriented as I have seen them, and it's really working. Even in the chaos yesterday of that lead starting to slip away, he was the coolest customer.
Yeah, it was fun to watch because the building was crumbling around him, and living rooms across Cleveland were inventing new swear words. But there was Kevin Stefanski, just the coolest guy in Jerry world. And now our Browns are 3-1. Jimmy, thanks so much. Always good to see you. We'll see you again at 6.
Okay, Jay, thanks.
Now, next up for the Browns, they host the 3-1 Indianapolis Colts. That'll be a big test. It's at First Energy Stadium on Sunday, and mark it down, this is a 4:25 kick. A little unusual. Now, the organization is pleading with the state to allow more fans into First Energy Stadium. Remember, for the first 2 home games, only 6,000 fans were permitted inside. Compare that to the 25,000 fans that were inside AT&T Stadium for yesterday's Browns-Cowboys game in Dallas. Now, in the team's latest request to the Ohio Department of Health, owners Jimmy and Dee Haslam want up to 16,000 fans, or 24% of capacity, at Sunday's game and beyond. The letter was dated September 29th. They point out that no new cases or any cases of COVID have been traced to the first 2 home games for the Browns. And they say the team's earlier plan for managing crowds will remain in place. The Browns front office could not be reached to discuss the team's latest request. And as of this afternoon, the state health department had not yet signed off on this request. A decision is expected very soon. Betsy, I should point out, I mentioned that number for the Cowboys, 25,000 fans. Their capacity is one of the biggest in the NFL. Their stadium at AT&T holds 80,000 fans, so that's 31% capacity. If you were to put 31% capacity into First Energy, that would give the Browns about 21,000 fans. What will the state do? We'll wait and see.
Well, I have to assume that's going to change the energy inside First Energy Stadium. I mean, 6,000 fans, you know, you're Baker Mayfield on there and you're getting ready for a play and you hear, yay.
Yeah, it was bizarre. I was at Sunday's game, Bets, and I got to tell you, for anybody that's been to a preseason game in the fourth quarter when everybody's left, or a regular season blowout in December when everybody's left, that's what it reminded me of at the start of the game, looking around. That place was empty.
Yeah, the 2016 games by the end, that was kind of reminiscent.
You could count the fans.
Kind of stuff. Yeah, well, hopefully that's going to change. And, you know, no matter what, we can still cheer from our living rooms and backyards across Northeast Ohio. And I know there was a lot of cheering that's been going on, certainly. Well, you know, that's just another fact that we have to deal with this coronavirus. And, of course, we're keeping a close eye on the COVID cases here in Ohio. There were 1,057 new cases reported in the last 24 hours. That's not only higher than our 21-day average, but it ends the 3-day downward trend we were having.
And Betsy, the other key data points, Ohio's positivity rate is at 3.3%. That's up slightly from 3.1% yesterday. Good news on the hospitalization front. We have 37 fewer COVID patients in Ohio hospitals today than we had yesterday. That new number is now 657. And after no deaths reported yesterday, we were up to 6 deaths in today's numbers.
Well, starting Thursday, Regal Cinemas locations in the U.S. and U.K. will temporarily close. The news comes just days after the latest James Bond film, No Time to Die, was delayed until spring of 2021. Now, that's the second largest movie theater chain behind AMC. But could we be seeing something similar happening with locally owned theaters in our area? The vice president of Atlas Cinemas, which owns 6 locations, including the theater at Shaker Square, says while this pandemic has been a financial nightmare, they're going to survive.
Very limited foot traffic coming in because there are, again, no new movies. But it's been proven that when there are new movies, new content, people will come out.
Well, in this situation, you got to be crafty, and that's exactly what they have done. Since reopening in June, Atlas Cinemas locations have adjusted their hours. They're playing retro, classic, and independent films, along with some of the new ones. I think this is a phenomenal idea. Theaters can also be rented for private groups.
Wow. We've talked about all the industries that have been hit. Travel, hospitality. the movie industry has really taken it on the chin.
That's one of those, you know, I mean, because you're small area, enclosed, and I think people just kind of start to go a little bit.
Yeah.
But they definitely, you have to have a draw to do that, right?
Sure.
To go in. And I think, you know, the retro movies and the throwbacks and the independent movies, it's brilliant.
It's fun to watch.
It's so much fun, and it is different than when you're sitting on your couch.
Yeah.
It's still a movie theater, and that experience is
Yeah, we've seen the shift to streaming, and I'm sure that's going to be, we're going to see more of that down the road. But it's just not the same, Betsy.
Yeah.
To sit at home, you need that theater experience, and I'm certainly hoping that industry bounces back big time. Okay, next on What's New, the meal prep world collides with the book club world. How a new restaurant owner is bringing people together to promote healthy eating.
And President Trump says he's going home in just over an hour. We're monitoring Walter Reed Medical Center, and we'll bring you any developments as they happen. So, Matt, I got to ask you, what's coming up in the forecast?
Hi, Jay. Definitely a cooler feel outside today. Feels like fall, but this week is going to be feeling more like late summer as we bring in some much warmer air. As we go through the 7 to 10 day period, we'll let you know what those numbers are coming up.
It is Make Ahead Monday here on What's New. Health and wellness has become a hot trend during the pandemic, and so, Betsy, has healthy cooking.
Well, Brandon Simmons is going to take us to a new restaurant in Rocky River that's taking advantage of both trends, and there's a fresh take on a traditional book club.
So at first I just felt like this was a good opportunity to bring the community in and just let them have space. And what it turned into is something way more, actually.
What's old is new again at Go Buddha in Rocky River, a plant-based meal company with a focus on affordable nutrition. Co-owner Josh Ingraham had just opened his doors when one of his customers had an idea, a book club to promote healthy meal prep.
My sister and I decided that this was, as we were reading this book, we wanted to try to share it with as many people as we could.
The book club is a hit, and Josh evolved the idea by adding cooking demos and samples for everyone to taste.
And so we're going to put the berries in first. This is our cashew.
While he's cooking, he's able to sort of give very brief, concise lecture pieces on, why we need to eat the way that we're all promoting, the plant-based eating, and why it's so beneficial. And
we've been able to mimic yogurt without any dairy. Start with the fluffy stuff first. And when you're building these, less is more, right?
They meet once a week on Mondays and focus on the role food plays in immunity and a healthy lifestyle.
We got that support, and now we've established the group. So I think it's just going to get stronger from here. And that just that is the most exciting part about what we're doing. We're hoping just to be the start of something great. And even if it's not just a Go Buddha, obviously we want to promote healthy eating across the board. We just want to be a part of that movement.
I'm Brandon Simmons, 3 News.
All right, Brandon, thank you very much. And I guess with that in mind, it's time for weather. Matt Wentz joins us now. Matt, your weather word is delicious. Because that food looked delicious.
Because that's a weather word,
Yeah,
you know?
it definitely did.
We use it all the time.
Yeah,
you can make that into a forecast. I know it.
It's very fitting with the forecast, Jay. I think you're going to be impressed with some of these numbers here later on this week. But we'll definitely do that. Hope you guys had a nice weekend, and I hope everyone watching had a wonderful weekend. We're starting the work week off on a cool note. We're in the 50s today after all that rain we saw sweep through the area yesterday. But this is really, as Betsy and I were talking about earlier, a little speed bump in the week as we're really going to start to warm things up. We've got a beautiful stretch of weather out ahead of us. Your average highs the next 4 weeks, though. Want to take a look at that? We're at 66 for an average high today. You know it's never average around here, but this is certainly a midpoint. Notice how over the next couple weeks, we slide back. We'll be back into the 50s by the end of the month. Then can you believe it? 4 weeks from now, we're talking November already. But right now, it's comfortably cool outside. We're generally in the 50s. We've got that bright sunshine back in our forecast. Temperatures area-wide as we expand the view. You can see we've got 58 Medina, 56 over towards Chardon, and a balmy 60 from Akron down towards Canton along 77 there. But the bigger picture showing the warming out in the Plain States, we're going to share in some of that over the next couple days. We'll get these little brief cooler spells that'll last about a day or two, and then most of the days we're talking 60s and 70s. High pressure is literally right over areas of Holmes County right now, and high pressure, a lot of sinking motion in the atmosphere, so we rid the clouds out of the air. It'll also lead to a pretty cool night tonight, but you can see the big picture, the general flow coming out of the northwest. We've got a system to watch out in areas of Minnesota, another one out towards Alberta, Canada, but all of these are heading off towards our north and the east, so they're really going to bypass the area and just kind of clip northeast Ohio with some clouds over the coming days. Tonight, mainly clear skies and cool. We're back into the 40s, maybe some upper 30s. Your National Design Mart hour-by-hour forecast showing those clearing skies. But remember that high's heading east of us, so that brings in a south wind. That's a warming wind tomorrow. So temperatures, despite some of the high clouds floating through the sunshine, are going to spike well into the 60s. I think it's going to be a picture-perfect, or as Jay likes to call it, a delicious Tuesday outside. And then as we get on into your Wednesday, temperatures will be equally as impressive. So in terms of fall-like warmth, I'll tell you, our last 75-degree day, we average it around mid to late October around here. Why do I bring that up? Because your Universal Windows Direct shows a 75-degree day on Saturday. Look at the up and down. Thursday, our cool spot, but we've got a lot of sunshine in the forecast this week. And guys, a delicious-looking weekend ahead as well. So looking forward to this week. Should be nice.
See, delicious is a weather word. I mean, that is delicious.
Yes, it is.
That is yummy.
Get your bib. Get your bib.
Get your bib.
Where does this come
Thank you, Matt. We'll see you soon. Still ahead, Browns quarterback Baker Mayfield shares what's new with this year's team compared to last season's.
Yeah, I do.
Welcome back to What's New. Browns fans today have fewer fingernails and more gray hairs after yesterday's win against the Dallas Cowboys. We bring in Stephanie Haney now to see what's clicking in Cleveland. And Steph, I'm going to go out on a limb here and guess that it's heavily Browns.
You're right about that, Jay. Lots of Browns for sure. But first, we're going to talk about the next Cleveland International Film Festival and their new plans for this year. The festival will be virtual again in 2021. That's starting April 7th. Board President Chris Blake said today that an online festival is the newest way to make SIFF the best and most accessible experience. And the organizers say it's really the most responsible option when it comes to the safety of everyone involved because of COVID-19. So the festival will be online again, just like it was in 2020, and it will move to its new home in Playhouse Square in 2022. And yes, it is Victory Monday, and the Cleveland Browns are only looking ahead. Here's what quarterback Baker Mayfield has to say about things to come.
We're just all on the same page right now. I'm trusting those guys. I'm trusting the guys on the outside to be in the right spots at the right time. We're doing a good job right now. We need to keep getting better.
The Browns had a big win in Week 4 last year against the Baltimore Ravens, too, and we all know how that turned out. But Baker said on Sunday after beating Dallas that this does not feel like last year one bit. It definitely looks different with big moments like that touchdown pass from Jarvis Landry to Odell Beckham Jr. to get the game going. And the record is better, too. When asked if Baker knows when the last time was that the Browns started the season 3-1, Baker told Fox, "No, and I don't really care. It's 2020 and we're moving on to the next one." That last game-clinching touchdown by OBJ definitely helps when it comes to looking forward and not back. And speaking of looking forward, we know that the Browns take on the Indianapolis Colts on Sunday. And I have to say, Jay, the last couple of weeks when I've been watching the Browns and things have been clicking, I've thought to myself, is the team that the Browns are playing any good? So knowing that the Colts and the Browns both have a 3-1 record, I have to ask you now, how do the Colts compare to the teams that we've played so far?
Better than all of them. Obviously the Bengals in the first week of the season, or that was the second week, not a good team, won easily. The Ravens were a good team. That was a bad outcome for us. The Cowboys, one win. So this is a 3-1 team that will be our biggest test so far. So we'll know a little bit more this time next week. Stephanie, thanks.
Morning. All right, well, it's time now for our Worth the Watch, and this is a good one. Dakara Spence, a restaurant owner in Atlanta, posted this on her Instagram. Watch this. This is a young girl who she had just hired. She just got a job. She did a little dance in the parking lot. Isn't that fantastic? I saw that over the weekend. I just love that. I think, you're having a good day. Let it be known. Security cameras there, and obviously her own phone probably playing a role in that, but so cool.
That's the new I got a job dance.
Right?
Yeah, I like it.
That's what you want to see in a new employee. I just hired her. She goes outside. She does that.
Very authentic.
Definitely. All right, well, coming up, Mom Minute Monday. From name calling to arguing, expert advice on how to help your kids understand politics.
And President Trump says he's going home tonight. We're going to have the very latest on his health. And we're monitoring any developments from Walter Reed should he leave early. You know, these things, Betsy, it's not always exactly on time.
We're following breaking news. You found it, Greg. Thank you. There you go. That Matt, he knows everything.
Check 1, 2, 3. Laura Queso's mic. It is Monday. How are you? Great. Hi, Jay. Today's the deadline.
And now, live from WKYC Studios, this is What's New.
Well, everybody, it's Victory Monday.
I know.
Isn't it a great thing to be able to say?
It really is. We've had a couple of those this year.
I know. I wore my orange dress last week. I never even got to shout it out that I wore my orange dress. And today I'm like, all right, well, I'll just go with a little jacket, little dress, and not play it up too much. But still, I mean, come on. It's Victory Monday. Now I'm kind of disappointed in myself for not busting out the orange.
Well, we know this much. At 3-1, Betsy, because we haven't been there since 2001. I'm sorry, 19 years ago. The future's looking pretty good. It's looking pretty good for this football team. We're going to talk more about the Browns coming up in just a little bit. By the way, welcome back to What's New with Betsy. I'm Jay. We're following breaking news tonight. You are looking at a live picture of Walter Reed Medical Center. President Donald Trump is expected to leave the hospital for the White House. That's expected to happen at 6:30, about an hour from right now, just days after his COVID-19 diagnosis. Our Russ Mitchell joins us now. He's at the news desk with the very latest on what doctors are saying about his condition. Hello, Russ.
Hello, Jay and Betsy. This afternoon, President Trump's doctor offered 2 words about his COVID-19 recovery. They were, he's back. His doctors say they have no qualms about the president going back to the White House. They also say he is not complaining about any symptoms. Of course, this is important to remember. President Trump is getting exceptional treatment, the kind of treatment that most Americans would not get, including an experimental antibody cocktail. And while the doctors would not get into details about that treatment, they did say he has not had any fever-reducing medication in over 72 hours.
If we can get through to Monday with him remaining the same or improving, better yet, then we will all take that final deep sigh of relief.
The doctor was also asked whether the president can resume his campaign activities. The answer was, we'll see about traveling. I think from what we've seen so far, it's what the president wants to do. We'll have to see about that. The president also tweeted he has not felt this good in 20 years. And Jay, he'll continue to be treated for COVID at the White House. And the White House, while not a full-fledged hospital, it's pretty much like one. Everything he needs will be there.
I'm guessing if he needs it, it will be there. Russ, thanks. We'll see you in under 30 minutes with What Matters Most at 6. And we'll also bring you any new developments on the president's departure from the hospital as they happen.
Yeah.
Well, there's plenty more going on today as well, and Laura Queso has been following all of it in the newsroom. Joins us now with some more headlines today. Hi, Laura.
Hi, Betsy. Well, today is the day, the deadline to register to vote if you want to vote in the November election. So now you might be thinking your local Board of Elections office is closed. However, you can still register online until 11:59 tonight. That is the deadline. You need an Ohio driver's license or Ohio ID card, plus the last 4 digits of your Social Security number to sign up. Ohio's Secretary of State Frank LaRose is making it easier for those who want to vote absentee. He said today he's allowing every county board of elections to install more than one secure receptacle for absentee ballots, and those can be dropped off 24/7. He is also allowing drive-through ballot drop-offs at board offices. Voters can also return their ballots as usual by mail. And the brand new Vrooman Road Bridge over the Grand River in Lake County, it's now open. The bridge opened today after a ceremony to dedicate it. This was a 2-year project, and it cost some $30 million to complete it. It connects State Route 84 to I-90.
Probably a lot of happy folks out that way
was
now.
gonna say,
Hopefully their
yeah.
commutes get a lot smoother. Certainly appreciate it, Laura. We'll see you again coming up in just a little bit.
Sure.
Well, we know it's a stressful and confusing time for adults, but can you imagine how your kids are feeling? So we're hoping to make life a little easier by getting answers to important questions from the experts. In tonight's Mom Minute Monday, our Maureen Kyle talked to a local pediatric psychiatrist at University Hospitals about how to talk to your kids about this intense political climate.
We were the center of the news cycle. The debates were in Cleveland. It is impossible for kids to not notice what's happening. How do we start to approach politics and explain it to our children?
Part of being an active participant in a representative democracy starts by teaching our kids how important it is to disagree with people's ideas while respecting those that we disagree with. When the exchange gets really heated, it's really important to start by talking about the fact that these persons look like they may be angry with one another, but what really is happening is they're having intense and very passionate differences. And the message that I think it's sometimes lost because we're so passionate about what we believe is that other people also have the same passion around their beliefs, right?
Yeah.
And that does not make them an enemy.
You can disagree and maintain respect. I love that message. Now, taking your kids' age into account obviously is a really important thing. A doctor said even at about age 8, kids can have a pretty strong grasp of what's happening. And as they get older, they start to form their own opinions. So in addition to teaching the importance of respecting others' opinions, it's important to also listen to your children. And Jay, I got to tell you, I have a 12-year-old and a 5-year-old. My 12-year-old, this is most certainly going to be a civics lesson for her. It will be very heavily covered, I'm sure, in school and social studies. But even my little one in kindergarten, they're talking about voting, and the kids listen at all times. They soak it in. And so, Thanksgiving dinner this year could be a little interesting for a lot of families out there, but it's not necessarily the adults that could get in on this conversation. There's ways to include the kids in that too.
Yeah, I hope that young people understand or are told that this isn't the norm. What we're seeing now in our country between the two political parties, it's not what it was intended to be. It's not what it's ever been before, and hopefully it's not what it's always going to be. Ironic that message that you love and I love too about remember, other people have passionate opinions too. The message was intended for kids. I know a lot of adults that could benefit from hearing that and listening to that too. Still ahead on What's New, actress Eva Mendes is clapping back at a fan who told her she needs to get out more.
Then
the IRS is now offering a special program which can reduce or even eliminate what you owe.
Well, before you burn up your phone line, we've all seen these commercials, but will they really help or will they hurt you in your financial situation? Our Danielle Serino is next with what you should do if you owe the government money.
Hey, Matt, what's going on outside?
Hi, Jay. We've got a cool snap right now, but this is going to be very short-lived compared to some of our numbers later this week. We've got a nice fall-like warm-up on the way. We'll let you know what the latest numbers are. We'll take that forecast. I know we just ended it, but all the way through next weekend coming up. Mic check, Matt. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay.
You know, we were outside a good chunk of the weekend. The weather was so beautiful with that sun shining, and I'm seeing the leaves starting to change, and the air is very comfortable. And I come in and I put together the forecast this afternoon with Matt, and there's just more to come, everybody. It's good news this week, Matt.
Yeah, Betsy, it really is. I was telling people last night, you know, don't let the soggy, kind of depressing Sunday that we had outside of the Browns victory, I get it, but don't let that get you down, because this is going to be a beautiful stretch, as you mentioned, that we're going to settle into. And I was looking back in time. Over the last 5 years, we typically get 4 or 5 days in a row in October of at least 70 degrees and some sunshine. So these stretches are not uncommon for this month, but we're going to jump into one this week, as you'll see here in the forecast. But let's look at today's numbers first. These are hot off the press, officially 59 degrees for a high at Hopkins. That is below our average, which is now down to 66. You can see the low temperature this morning, 42. We did have some 30s inland, and that sunrise and sunset time, we continue to lose that daylight, so treasure it while we have it. Temperature is very fall-like. We're in the 50s this evening here. You can see generally mid and upper 50s to near 60 degrees. The wind, though, has shifted around. This is a warming wind now, so those temperatures aren't going to crash quite as quickly tonight, but we are still going to fall back into the 40s for the majority of us, as that wind continues to lessen up as we go throughout the evening hours. But the warmth is out in the plain states. We are going to tap into some of that as we go in the latter half of the week. You can see those leftover kind of stubborn clouds we had across our lakeshore counties early has finally burned off, and our weather system's coming at us from the northwest still, but we've got a couple lined up. Those are going to miss us and maybe clip areas of Ashtabula, Lake Geauga County with some clouds over the next couple days. Other than that, we are quiet. Your National Design Barn hour-by-hour forecast tonight, you can see the temperatures dipping back upper 30s, low 40s for most of us under clear skies. We'll have a sunny start to your Tuesday. I think we've got just a stellar day in forecast tomorrow with some passing high clouds. Temperatures should make a run into the upper 60s by afternoon. We're going to do a little bit better than that on Wednesday. I think up near 70 degrees with some passing clouds. You can see all that rain missing us out towards Pennsylvania. Pretty nice day. I commented to Betsy earlier, it is amazing when the calendar changes. Look at all the activity up in Canada as that jet stream starts settling south. This is the week ahead, just storm system after storm system pummeling Canada, and yes, there's some snow accumulation up there as expected. But for us, we are in a great place in the weather map. Let's keep it north for now. Your Universal Windows Direct 7-day forecast keeps us quiet over the next 7 days. A little downhill in the temps on Thursday as the front passes to our north, but we're back into the 70s this upcoming weekend, just looking fantastic. So let's make sure, I know as Northeast Ohioans, we know how to do it, but we need to make sure we take advantage of these days because they are numbered.
Well, the leaf peepers are certainly going to be out there. We'll be in our peak here for the next 2 weeks or so. So my big concern would be a big wind event to blow all the leaves off, but hopefully that won't be the case. All right, Matt, thanks so much. We'll see you coming up on Front Row tonight.
There's the music. That means you're about to get smarter when it comes to Hollywood gossip. Here it is now, today's Pop Break.
Joe Jonas is kicking off Breast Cancer Awareness Month in a big way. The Jonas brother and new dad has dyed his hair pink in celebration of the big month, sharing his first looks on his Instagram story over the weekend. This is not Joe's first rodeo when it comes to rosy-colored locks. The singer also dyed his hair pink back in 2016. Jennifer Lopez's daughter is getting excited for her mom's upcoming nuptials to former MLB star Alex Rodriguez. Emmy, who is currently promoting a new prayer book, talked with E! News and Daily Pop over the weekend and said that she plans to sing at her mom's wedding and has chosen a song with a lot of meaning.
One that connected me and her is You Are My Sunshine. She sang that to me every day when I was little, when I was going to sleep.
Emmy, who is from J-Lo's previous marriage to Mark Antony, clearly has inherited her mom's talents. All we can hope for is that someone gets her wedding day performance on video. Eva Mendes shut down a troll on her Instagram who tried to say that she doesn't get out enough. After the actor posted a throwback pic on the beach, one follower commented that Ava's husband, actor Ryan Gosling, needs to get her out more. Ava responded in the best way possible, writing, "No thank you, I'm good. Rather be home with my man than anywhere else in the world." The couple has 2 daughters and have somehow managed to keep their private life private. So hey, we can't blame her for wanting to stay home.
And kudos to them, by the way, Betsy, for doing that, because it's really hard when both people in the couple are famous and Hollywood people to keep your life private, but they've done it.
You certainly have, and I gotta say, I spent yesterday at home and I was happy as a clam. I didn't want to leave at all. So
Yeah.
there's some good times to be had there too.
No doubt. Okay, it's Victory Monday. I've been working on a new project to bring you all the latest details about the Browns. We'll tell you a little bit about that coming up.
And our show is something good. A new reason to take a drive or walk past a popular shopping attraction. It's Money Monday, and we're talking tax debt with you now. With 51 million out of work, getting a tax bill this year is pretty scary. So should you hire somebody to get you out of trouble, or are you better off handling it yourself? As consumer investigator Danielle Serino found out, if you're not careful, you can find yourself in even more debt.
If you owe $10,000 or more to the IRS, there's good news.
The IRS is now offering a special program which can reduce or even eliminate what you owe.
I owed $87,000 in taxes. But listen.
Your tax problem is settled. With commercials like those, Arian Kroon thought a tax relief company was his way out of nearly $110,000 in back taxes.
I'm going to get my wages garnished, prison time. Your whole life will change.
He admits he wasn't smart, but as a newly employed truck driver who never got a tax return, he didn't understand he had to file on his own.
Now it caught up to me after all that time.
So he hired Attorneys Tax Relief to help. It has an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau, even has attorneys on staff. Although in the contract small print, there's no guarantee one will follow your case.
They may be able to help taxpayers who are frustrated by complexities get through the process, but taxpayers would be paying that company for that service.
And he sure paid $500 for just an initial investigation and then $7,000 over 9 months. For that, he got this.
I really couldn't believe, after paying the money, how am I getting a tax lien from the IRS if I'm in the tax relief program? It just didn't make sense to me.
Turns out this happens a lot, according to the Federal Trade Commission. Many firms claim they could negotiate an installment plan, reduce your debt, even eliminate it, despite the fact some taxpayers don't even qualify for these programs. And some companies don't send in the necessary paperwork.
I called the IRS. This company did nothing. They did nothing, or they paid nothing toward back taxes or nothing. All they basically did was take my money.
What these companies are doing is trying to intersperse themselves in that process. They're really not doing anything the taxpayer can't do themselves.
Now, as you know, the IRS isn't the easiest to get a hold of, and some tax situations are difficult. That's when experts say you might consider a CPA.
There's what's called an taxpayer's advocacy. So the CPAs have use of that division of the IRS, and we are going there more frequently instead of waiting.
Arian's now doing it on his own and is on a payment plan, but back at square one.
I should have called the IRS and made payment arrangements myself with them instead of going to a third party. You work hard for your money. You know, you're not trying to have somebody take advantage of that.
The founder of Attorneys Tax Relief told me they did do work for Arian, including preparing returns so he could enter into a settlement agreement with the IRS. After our phone call, they told Arian they wanted to resolve this situation with him so he'd be happy with their service. I'm Danielle Serino, 3 News.
All right, well, it will never get old saying that it's Browns Victory Monday. Let's face it, over the past 5 years, if you go big, right? We really haven't had a chance to say it a lot.
Betsy, that's why it'll never get old.
It's so nice, right?
Think about it. We went a span of 2 years where we only had one.
I know.
I mean, so yeah, we celebrate anytime we can. And we asked for your picks, and this one's pretty cool.
Isn't it cool? So the entire family here, this is a picture from Anthony Smith. He and his family are in Texas, but they're still celebrating the Browns. And if you look closely, each of them have a different Browns jersey on. Some of them are kind of throwbacks, shall we say?
Yeah. Braylon Edwards. Look at Tim Couch, my man over there on the left. There we go.
But certainly folks are getting in the spirit. And I think it's really fun when families get together and everybody's got their jersey on for their team.
I agree. Hey, you know what? Looking at that, it hit me. This is a totally random thought. I had an idea when I was at a Browns game last year, and I've never told anybody about it, but you're crafty. I think it would be cool, because we all have these jerseys from 20 years ago with no use. I think it would be cool. Have you ever seen those quilts that are made out of kids' jerseys? We had one made for our son. It would be kind of cool to make a big quilt, a bed quilt, with all of these old jerseys that people just want to throw out. And it would kind of be like a history quilt of the Cleveland Browns.
All the quarterbacks.
You could do that.
You could make a king-size quilt.
If anybody is adventurous and they want to do that and they're crafty, take a picture of it and we'll put it on.
Well, Sunday's game, I mean, you know, if you're at home, you snap a picture of your family and what you're doing. But another thing that we want to tell everybody about, not only, you know, celebrating the win, but Jay has been doing a blog on our website that's actually pretty cool. Why don't you tell people about this?
Well, it's a column. I write it after every game. So, you know, after the Sunday games, I'm usually done with it Sunday evening, and I submit it. They put it up on the website Monday. It's just kind of, you know, my consciousness stream of craziness as I'm watching the game. But this one is mostly about how every Browns fan was doing the math as the fourth quarter started. We're going 41-14. That's 27 points. They could score 4 touchdowns and beat us, or 3 touchdowns and 3 2-point conversions and a field goal and get it to overtime. And then we watched that whole thing unfold. It almost came to fruition.
Then you're like, oh, no.
That's the torture of being a Browns fan.
Yes,
anyhow, I write it every week. It's fun to do.
Okay, you can find it at WKYC.com, certainly. I can't wait to dive in on that. And you said you've been doing it for a month already?
Yeah, all season after each game so far this year. It's a lot of fun.
Well, I'm sure the tone is peppy.
When the play is peppy, the tone is peppy. When it's not, well, you just have to read it.
Yeah, well, you know.
Okay, coming up next, remembering those affected by Alzheimer's and continued efforts to end this terrible disease.
And we're also keeping a very close eye on breaking news. President Trump is expected to leave the hospital right around 6:30 tonight. We'll have live coverage coming up on What Matters Most at 6.
And because it's Victory Monday, here's our pop quiz question. Browns related. When was the last time the Browns started 3-1? Actually, not when. Who was the president? Was it Bill Clinton, George W. Bush, or Barack Obama? The answer coming back. Think about that.
Complicated question.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Mic check. 1, 2, 3. Mic check, mic check, mic check. Thank you. I can hear you.
Beyond breaking news, a live look at Walter Reed National Military Medical.
All right, before the break, we asked you who was the president the last time the Browns started 3-1. And Betsy, I think this really drives home how long that's been.
Yeah.
There's your choices. I love it. Russ walked in and he goes, well, let's see, it's been 19 years, so that would be W, George W. And Russ, you win the prize.
Of course.
Maybe we give him the leg lamp for a day, Betsy.
Leg lamp?
You can look at it. How about that?
Okay, you can lay it on my desk.
We'll let you look at it.
But he nailed it. It's been a long time since George W. Bush was our president. All right, we wrap it up with our Show Us Something Good. Comes from the Alzheimer's Association of Cleveland. Take a look at the drive-by Promise Garden at Pinecrest and Beechwood yesterday. Of course, because of the pandemic, this is the way we're doing things. Their traditional walk couldn't be held, so instead, folks were encouraged to just take a walk or drive by the garden. All money raised goes towards Alzheimer research, care, and support. Pretty cool. We're out of time. Thanks so much for joining us. We're back tomorrow at 5, and we hope you join us again.
Definitely do. Please do.